9% are wasted and 19% are underweight. However, it should be noted that at any given time, whether during normal times or during emergencies, malnutrition is always present in our communities, especially in the rural areas. However, it has been documented that malnutrition tends to be higher during the rainy season compared to the dry season.
About 18 countries have been severely affected by the food crisis in Africa, and according to WHO country representative in the Gambia, Dr. Thomas Sokoa, his organization has been contributing meaningfully to mitigate the impact of food crisis in the country since government's declarations early this year.
Although the focus in terms of priorities for the government are three actually. One is that we need to have food for those that are in need. Two is that we need to have seeds to provide to farmers so that we don't have a recurrence of this episode. And three, fertilizer. So those are the three major priorities of government.
For the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Health and Social Welfare, Mamadou Lamin Cisse, malnutrition is one of the 10 causes of morbidity and mortality in the health system.
As a nation, we cannot achieve the NDGs without rapid improvements in coverage of high-impact, cost-effective health interventions that reaches remote areas. This could only be achieved through reinforcing capacity of our healthcare workers, especially in effectively recognizing the signs and symptoms of acute malnutrition amongst vulnerable groups such as the under-5s and women.
This step-down course for the health workers, official noted, is important for the management of malnutrition if they are to prevent morbidity and mortality and improve the lives of the population. Mama J, Grts.
Over 300-strong volunteer corps that consisted of maritime dock workers and Casamance refugees residing within the Fornis recently descended on a Dobong farm for an agricultural exercise. The field is cultivated annually by the dockers in response to the President's Back to the Land call. We have details in this report by Babakar Kamara.
They are valued as the greatest number of volunteers who have ever descended to the President's farm in Dobong from 2009 to date, reconstituting themselves in manners more appealing to farm authorities despite their years of allegiance.
What happened is, these volunteers, I have already talked to them since year before last year, because I call up them because of the President's farm, let them come and help. At any time I call them, they are willing to come. Then, and this time around, I called up them from a village called BM, Sutuken, Lefa, and the refugees and the dock workers and the villagers. That's why you have to see the crowd like this. Okay. But as I said, it would have been more than this, but because due to the circumstance of transportation, that's why a lot of people cannot able to come to the farm.
The farm has been under the dominance of sea giants and beginning to gain more voluntary support in recent times, following its plowing barely 6 weeks ago, an inspiration driven from President Jammeh's humanitarian initiatives.
Started it in 2010. When we promised His Excellency, Sir Professor Alhaji Dr. Yaya Iji Jammeh, that we'll want to come to Dobong to work, because we have seen in the past the President, whenever he has a leave, he usually spend it in the Gambia. All over the world, I have never seen that. I'm almost 55 years of age. That prompted us to motivate our people with the Gambia Ports Authority, Managing Director, to come and see that we have some farms here.
am nga mi jógee Casamance 2006 ñu ngi fekk jiitu réew mi His Excellency Professor Dr. Alhaji Yaya Jammeh mu ngi promote bay bi.
Since we came here from Casamance in 2006, we saw President Jammeh promoting Back to the Land initiative and constantly being supported by the Gambia Ports Authority. So we are here to help ports and the President. The weeding of the flowering groundnuts was witnessed by the Alcalde of Dobong, Alassane Jiba, in whose testimony he promised commitment of his village, as refugees have already begun to cultivate both rice and groundnut in support of President Jammeh's call for Gambians to go back to the land and grow what they eat. Babakar Kamara, GRTS.
Well, you can monitor GRTS Radio live on our website, and that's on www.grts.gm. We'll be back with more stories after the break.
Cash to be won. This month, AfriCell is offering $500,000 worth of cash prizes for the subscribers that registered their lines. You heard me right. Win over $500,000 worth of cash prizes with the AfriCell Register and Win promotion.
What? Scratch and win?
It's register and win. $500,000 is cash.
Wow! $500,000 is for simply registering my AfriCell line?
That's right. Hurry up and register your AfriCell SIM card now and stand the chance of winning $500,000 is cash. Every Friday, 5 lucky AfriCell subscribers who have correctly registered their AfriCell lines will win through a live draw on GRTS TV. You can register your AfriCell SIM card at any AfriCell customer care outlet or service center or at any of the AfriCell registration points spread all over the country. Register your AfriCell line now to avoid disconnection and win $500,000 is cash with the AfriCell Register and Win promotion.
Welcome back to GRTS News. New Egyptian President Mohamed Morsi has vowed to take full control of the Sinai Peninsula, a strip of land which is demilitarized area under the 1979 peace agreement with Israel. President Morsi was speaking shortly after 16 Egyptian soldiers were killed by unknown attackers along the border with Israel. Tel Aviv says the stolen armored carriers were destroyed by Israel's jet shortly after entry into Israel.
Security has been stepped up along the Israeli-Egyptian border after a surprise attack on the checkpoint. Gunmen killed 15 Egyptian border guards in the assault in the North Sinai city of Al-Arish. The attackers then seized 2 armored vehicles. An Israeli military spokesman said he believed the attackers were jihadists based in Sinai. The Egyptian army has a very small presence in the Sinai Peninsula, which is a demilitarized zone under a 1979 peace agreement with Israel. As a result, there is limited control in the region. The Egyptian government held an emergency meeting following the attack. President Mohamed Morsi said Egypt must take full control of the Sinai Peninsula. The attackers tried to enter Israel in the seized vehicles, but were stopped by security forces.
Aircraft were called in and the vehicle was hit. 2 people fled from the vehicle. They were killed by Israeli forces on site. In the carrier that was hit, there were 6 bodies, for a total of 8 bodies. It was unclear due to darkness whether there were more people. The area is closed off and searches are being carried out.
The Minister of Defense and the Israeli Prime Minister went to the site of the attack. They suspect the attackers are jihadists and have accomplices in the Hamas-run Gaza Strip. Hamas denies any involvement in the incident. Border between Egypt and the Gaza Strip has been closed until further notice, and 3 days of national mourning have been declared for the border guards that were killed.
Former UN High Commissioner for Human Rights has called on the current crop of ANC leaders to uphold the principle of human rights and root out corruption prevalent in the party. Mary Robinson was addressing delegates at the 10th anniversary of the Nelson Mandela Annual Lecture. The day also coincides with the 50th anniversary of the anti-apartheid figure's arrest. As part of the celebrations marking the day, South African President Jacob Zuma inaugurated a monument at the exact scene of Mandela's arrest in the KwaZulu-Natal.
50 years ago, Nelson Mandela was arrested for his struggle against apartheid. On Saturday, South Africa unveiled a monument in KwaZulu-Natal at the spot where he was arrested.
When you walk up to it, it's like a forest of columns, and from the side you get the feeling of the columns spreading and increasing in size.
The statue is made of 50 steel rods representing the prison bars. South African President Jacob Zuma inaugurated the monument. Zuma is now the head of the African National Congress, the party that Mandela once led. The ANC celebrated its 100th year anniversary a few months ago, and it is still a strong force in South African politics. Although Nelson Mandela enjoys outstanding popularity, his successors are often criticized. Mary Robinson, the former UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, attended the ceremony. She too has been critical of the ANC. She said that some members of the ANC had betrayed the party and warned against corruption.